Hello and welcome to RedisConf 2021 and the session titled Go Further, Do More with Azure Cache for Redis Enterprise Tiers. I'm Amiram Mizne, Director of Product Management at Redis Labs, coming to you from my San Francisco Bay Area home, where I'm working, like many of my colleagues, and I'm guessing many of you, from a makeshift home office. Who is this session for? Whether you're a developer, operator, or architect, I'll cover this exciting new way to consume enterprise-grade Redis workloads natively on Azure, with more use cases, operational ease, market-leading SLAs, and many other benefits of running the best version of Redis available. About 18 months ago, we've joined forces with Microsoft Azure to bring these capabilities into Azure Cache for Redis, expanding the ability of the existing tiers of service already offered that are based on open source Redis. Most recently, at Microsoft Ignite, we've announced general availability. Today, we're already offering the latest version of Redis, Redis 6, with a guarantee to always be running on the latest version of Redis. The service offers 4 nines SLA, Redis on Flash, and Redis modules, all of which I'll cover more in depth during the session. The enterprise tier can currently scale to datasets up to 13 terabytes and support over 1 million operations per second. It supports access over a public endpoint, TLS protected, or via private endpoint through Azure Private Link. It is built via Azure and allows customers to spend their Azure commitments on the enterprise tier. As a native first-party Azure service, it seamlessly leverages existing Azure Cache for Redis integrations, such as support for automation via Azure Terraform Provider, ARM templates, Azure API, PowerShell, and more Azure native services. The enterprise tier expands Redis functionality by supporting multiple Redis modules. Support for additional use cases on the same technology stack flatten the learning curve and accelerate developments of applications and services. These new data types also benefit from the extremely fast and highly scalable Redis architecture. Let's start with Redis Search, which provides superior performance over a variety of search scenarios, all of which are essential, for example, for retailers moving to or scaling their e-commerce offerings. And some of the biggest retailers in the US are leveraging this technology for real-time inventory management use cases. Redis Search 2.0, which we've announced recently, is available by default and provides better scalability and functionality, including support for active geo-replication. Source available Redis Search is offered as an enterprise supported product on Azure, and you can explore RedisSearch.io and learn more about this project. Another popular expansion for Redis capability comes in the form of Redis Time Series. It enables, for example, IoT and analytics use cases and is already integrated with many popular tools such as Prometheus, Grafana, and Telegraph, with the most recent version introducing backfilling capabilities. That allows you, for example, to batch load historical samples into an existing series or to update existing samples. Redis Time Series is also a source available Redis module, and in the Azure case, it is offered as an enterprise supported product. And in this case as well, you can learn more about Redis Time Series in RedisTimeSeries.io. Azure Cache for Redis Customer Site Pro is already leveraging this cost-effective solution to collect and analyze data from hundreds of thousands of IoT sensors. Last but not least in the list of modules that I'll cover is Redis Bloom. And Redis Bloom adds probabilistic data types to Redis. One of the key advantages of using Redis Bloom is getting query responses on an otherwise very large amount of data very quickly with a smaller data structure in use. And you can get fast results while giving up some accuracy. One of the world's leading software companies is currently using Redis Bloom on Azure. And their use case involves ensuring notification of software updates are sent to customers exactly once. Another use case is a first pass filter in a fraud detection solution that allows a very efficient check against known patterns. Again, the source available module is provided as a fully managed service, and you can learn more about it at redisbloom.io. Azure Cache for Redis Flash tiers are powered by Redis Enterprise Redis on Flash capability. It creates databases that extend your DRAM capacity to NVMe RAM, enables you to store significantly more data with fewer resources and with reduced costs. Instead of keeping the entire dataset in RAM, what Redis on Flash does, it keeps only keys and the Redis dictionary in RAM, along with some of the hot values. Those are the most frequently accessed values in your dataset. The warm values, or the least recently used portion of the dataset, those are kept on local flash storage. And all this is done automatically with no changes required to the application. Now, when you use the Flash tier, you can deploy very large datasets in the hundreds of gigabytes and into the terabyte range, and that utilizes effectively more cost-effective, more affordable computer resources, and that this makes the Flash plans much more cost-effective, dollars to bytes. Now, as a top tier of the service, the Redis Enterprise tiers provides enhanced performance with up to 70% more ops per second and up to 40% improved latency versus the equivalent premium tiers. The top chart on the right shows overall ops per second achieved across two pairs of comparably sized tiers, the E100 versus the P5 tier, and the E20 versus the P3 tier. The bottom chart follows the same logic, measures average latency, which includes the round trip time, so from the benchmarking application to Redis and back. All of these measurements apply to the first degree of scale of each of these tiers, and they can scale multiple times out while maintaining this low latency that you see here and linearly improving throughput. All the details of this benchmark are here on the slide and are also published in our GA announcement blog on redislabs.com. We're not done quite yet. Microsoft and Redis Labs are continuously adding more capabilities. Generally available today are financially backed SLAs for up to 4 nines availability when deploying over 3 availability zones. With Azure's commitment to providing availability zones to regions in every country they are deployed by the end of 2021, that means you can enjoy higher level SLAs on the enterprise tiers for running mission critical services anywhere that Azure is available. Furthermore, we've launched into preview Active Geo-Replication, which, once it's generally available, will provide 5 nines availability with financially backed SLAs, second only in availability to Azure DNS. In preview, you can now experience, in addition to Active Geo-Replication, managed persistence. When managed persistence is enabled, Redis is persisted to an Azure managed disk, ensuring that your data can be restored in the very rare instance where both primary and replica Redis servers fail, ensuring data durability. Now, with the enterprise tiers, Redis servers are always deployed in a highly available manner with both a primary and replica Redis server. Persistence is optional. Now, I've talked about Active Geo-Replication in the context of availability and SLA, which are very important. Let's talk about what other use cases this capability opens up. When deployed across multiple Azure regions, Active Geo-Replication, or Active-Active as is known today to Redis Enterprise customers, provides local latency for accessing the same data stored anywhere Azure is available. This enables deploying the same application in multiple geographies while serving customers locally, allowing customers to roam between regions, maintaining a truly stateless front end, addressing mobility, addressing load distribution consideration, as well as supporting disaster recovery scenarios. It really provides you with a lot of flexibility, durability, and service assurance. A little bit about the technology. Active Geo-Replication is based on CRDTs, conflict-free replicated data types. They've been scientifically researched for many years and are a proven technology. Because they're so much more efficient than consensus-based algorithms, they enable strong eventual consistency with sub-millisecond local latency and business continuity, even when several nodes are down, disconnected from one another, or otherwise not available to the application. Let me give you now a little taste of the experience of setting up an Active Geo-Replicated Redis deployment in Azure. And I'll use a couple of tools, Redis Insight, which is our free developer tools, and a very simple app to demonstrate some of those capabilities. To begin the demonstration, I'll start by creating the first instance of Azure Cache for Redis. And then we'll create another one in a different geographical location. I'll start by selecting a resource group, which I already have set up. I'll give this a name, Geo1, let's call it West US 2, and I will choose the Enterprise E10 tier, agree to terms, and then move on to the networking blade, where I'll just use the public endpoint option to keep things simple for us. And here I can select modules or availability zone deployment. I'll just keep this really simple. Just head on to enterprise clustering policy, which will enable a single endpoint. And I will create a geo-replication group. Let's call it geo-rep. And I'll configure that. And I see it's configured. I'll create a little cleanup tag for me so I can clean up when we're done here. I'll use my name since this is a shared subscription. And now I have everything in place. All I have to do is hit create, and my first instance will start creating. Now, we'll wait while we wait for this instance to create. We'll go ahead and create another instance. Jumping ahead a little, let's create another instance of our Redis database at a different region. So I'll select somewhere far off, West Europe, and I use again the Enterprise E10 tier. And I will give it a name, Geo-Rep West Europe. I'll run through some of these configurations here. I'll just pause here for finding our geo-replication group, and here it is. And it also, we see it has the other instance we previously created. So I will select that and hit configure, and that will link those two instances with Active Geo-Replication. And then we're good to go. Hit review and create. I got it all set up the way I want it. I'll hit create, and we're off. Next, what we'll do is connect to each of these instances once the second one is fully created, and show how data is replicated across both. Fast forward a little bit. I now have both my instances set up. And now I've launched Redis Insight, which is a Redis Lab free tool for developers that allows you to explore databases that you're working on and developing applications against. I've set up my Western Europe database already, but just to show you how that works, I'm going to set up my West US database. So I'll hit connect to Redis database, and I'll go in this other window to my West US 2 instance, grab the passkey, and I'll also grab the host name. That'll be useful, obviously. Let's do this. Copy to clipboard, move it over here, and we should be all set. I'll just advise it to use TLS since we're using TLS, and hit add. Once I do that, it should work. Oh, I'm missing my password. Okay, let's go back and grab that passphrase. It's right here. Grabbed it, dropped it in here. All right, here we go. We've got this set up. Okay, now let's look at both windows side by side. And actually, we can rename this to a little friendlier name. Let's call this West US 2. Very easy to identify now. Now I'll use this one window to look at West US 2, and it's I'll use CLI tool, and the other one to just browse the key space. There are no keys right now. All right, cool. Let's create a key. I'll create a key in West US 2. I'll set foobar. Okay, so now I've got a key. Obviously, if I browse for it, I can see that. Foobar. All right, let's refresh the browser in Western Europe. And well, you know, that key appears here. All right, let's do the same in Western Europe just to show that writes and reads work just as well on both sides of the ocean. I'll delete the foo key and it will disappear from West US 2 as well. Now let's move on to another demonstration. Now let's play a game I like to call Death Star Bingo. We have 3 applications, each hosted in distinct geographic regions and connected to a local Redis Enterprise instance, which are part of an Active Geo-Replication setup. In this game, we vote for each planet to get blown up by the Death Star. A vote for, say, Dantooine. The vote is captured in a string located in the Rio instance, which is then replicated to Atlanta and London. Same for votes for other planets. The app increments a string data type and thanks to CRDTs gets replicated to the other instances in the other regions. At this point, I'll simulate a network failure between the regions. This is a scenario in which changes cannot be communicated between the members of the Active Geo-Replication setup. Now what happens is at this point is that any vote cast, any changes that the app communicates to its local Redis instance remains local. So we vote for Dantooine, or we vote for Scarif or Alderaan, in this case in Atlanta, or Scarif in London. All those changes are going to remain local. Now, in order to win this game, we all know how this ends. Alderaan needs to reach 42 votes, so I'm gonna jack up the vote counts in each of these regions until it does. And then once we have enough votes, locally, I'll restore the network connections, essentially enabling replication across all of the regions. All the regions will sync, and the vote tallies will reach 42, and here we go, Alderaan gets vaporized. I hope this demonstration left you with a taste for more. To summarize, the enterprise tiers create a natural progression of capabilities, extending the existing Azure Cache for Redis tiers with incremental features, novel use cases, enhanced service availability, and higher performance. The table compares the essential dimensions of each tier, from availability and SLA, through modules, scale, geo-replication, and performance. As your technology and business needs evolve, and as your application and business scale, Redis provides you with a path to go further and do more. Additional resources are available in the platform's metadata. Thank you very much for your time.